Simone Weil was a woman of contradictions. She was a philosopher who lived like a peasant, a mystic drawn to factory work, and an intellectual who embraced radical activism. Born in 1909, Weil lived a short but intense life, grappling with the biggest questions of her time. She taught in working class schools and labored alongside factory workers, sharing their struggles firsthand. This desire to bridge the gap between thought and action defined Weil's life. It led her to fight for the Republicans in the Spanish Civil War and join the French resistance against Nazi occupation. Weil's life was a whirlwind of action and ideas. She wrote tirelessly on philosophy, religion, politics, and social justice, exploring themes of suffering, grace, and the human condition. One of her central concepts was attention, giving your full being to the present moment. Weil's life was tragically cut short in 1943 at the age of 34, but she left behind a remarkable body of work. Her writings continue to resonate, challenging us to think deeply, live authentically, and fight for a more just world. Simone Weil's legacy is complex and multifaceted. She wasn't afraid to challenge conventional wisdom, and her ideas often sparked controversy. Today, Weil is considered one of the 20th century's most important thinkers, influencing philosophers, theologians, activists, and artists. Her writings on labor, social justice, and the nature of power remain strikingly relevant. Weil's call to deep thinking and compassionate action is more necessary than ever. Simone Weil's philosophy weaves together existentialism, mysticism, and social activism. One concept shines brightly throughout her work: attention. For Weil, attention was the foundation of our humanity, key to profound knowledge and spiritual transformation. She believed modern life scattered our focus, leaving us fragmented and disconnected. True attention required a radical shift in perspective, turning away from our own minds and focusing outward. It demanded active engagement, a willingness to be present and receptive to whatever arose in our awareness. Beyond the intellect, attention as a spiritual practice. Will believed true attention transcended the intellect, cultivating a deeper understanding of ourselves and our place in the universe. She drew parallels between attention and prayer, suggesting both involved a humbling of the self before something greater. This process required confronting difficult truths and acknowledging our limitations. For a while, attention was linked to love, recognizing the inherent worth and dignity of all beings. Affliction, the Crucible of Attention. Weil's understanding of attention was deeply informed by her own experiences of suffering and adversity. She believed moments of profound difficulty or affliction stripped away our illusions and forced us to confront raw reality. In these moments, we become acutely aware of our own fragility and interconnectedness with others who suffer. Weil saw the potential for growth and transformation within the crucible of affliction. The Weight of the World, Gravity and Grace. Will saw the world as governed by gravity, representing suffering and self-centeredness, and grace, symbolizing love and transcendence. Attention played a crucial role in navigating this duality, acknowledging suffering without despair and opening to moments of grace. In her work, Gravity and Grace, Weil explores these ideas, using aphorisms to illuminate human existence. She believed embracing both gravity and grace led to more authentic lives. Weil's writings are infused with hope and a belief in the transformative power of love and attention. Simone Weil embodied her commitment to social justice in her everyday life. In 1934, she took a job on the factory floor to understand workers' struggles firsthand. She experienced the monotony, physical strain, and dehumanizing effects of industrial labor. This wasn't a sociological experiment, it was transformative, deepening her empathy for the working class. Weil's time in the factories fueled her outrage at the injustices they faced. Weil's factory experience solidified her belief in direct action and solidarity with the oppressed. She joined the Republican forces during the Spanish Civil War, seeing the fight against fascism as a moral imperative. Weil's time in Spain was brief but intense, witnessing the horrors of war firsthand. Upon her return, she continued to advocate for social justice, writing passionately about the working class and the need for a more equitable society. Her writings resonated with readers hungry for change. When Nazi Germany occupied France, Simone Weil saw resistance as a moral imperative. Forced to flee, she joined the French resistance in England, working tirelessly to undermine the Nazi war effort. Even in exile, Weil's commitment to social justice never wavered. She wrote extensively about rebuilding Europe on a foundation of justice and compassion. Her wartime writings reflected her belief in the power of the human spirit to resist tyranny. Simone Weil's unwavering convictions came at a personal cost. In wartime England, she adopted an ascetic lifestyle, refusing to eat more than the meager rations allotted to those in occupied France. Her fragile health couldn't withstand this self-denial, leading to her death in 1943 at age 34. Some criticized her final act as self-destructive, while others saw it as a testament to her commitment. Weil lived and died by her convictions, inspiring generations to come. Published posthumously, Gravity and Grace stands as a testament to Simone Weil's intellect and spiritual nature. This collection grapples with fundamental questions of human existence, suffering, meaning, and transcendence. Gravity represents the weight of the world, while grace symbolizes love and transcendence. Weil believed acknowledging gravity opened us to the transformative power of grace. These intertwined forces shape the human experience. Written during her exile, The Need for Roots reflects Weil's concern about Europe's spiritual and social fragmentation. She argued that modern society's emphasis on individualism and materialism uprooted individuals from essential values and traditions. This rootlessness left people vulnerable to manipulation, by ideologies offering false belonging. Weil called for a rediscovery of values like human dignity and shared responsibility. These values could provide a foundation for a more just and humane society. Throughout her life, Simone Weil grappled with the complex relationship between oppression and liberty. She witnessed firsthand the crushing weight of oppression, both in the factories of France and on the battlefields of Spain. Yet, she never lost sight of the human capacity for resistance and the transformative power of true freedom. In her essay, Oppression and Liberty, Weil explores the nature of oppression, arguing that it extends far beyond physical coercion or economic exploitation. She believed that true oppression aimed at crushing the human spirit, at denying individuals their dignity, their agency, and their capacity for critical thought. For Weil, true liberty wasn't simply the absence of external constraints, but rather the positive exercise of our human faculties, our capacity for reason, compassion, and creative expression. She believed that true freedom could only flourish in a society that recognized the inherent dignity of every individual and provided the conditions for their full development. Weil's writings on oppression and liberty remain strikingly relevant in the 21st century. Her insights into the psychological and social mechanisms of oppression continue to shed light on contemporary struggles for social justice, whether it's the fight against racism, sexism, economic inequality, or political tyranny. Simone Weil's life may have been tragically cut short, but her legacy lives on through her powerful and provocative writings. Her work continues to challenge and inspire readers from all walks of life: philosophers grappling with the nature of existence, activists fighting for social justice, and everyday people seeking meaning and purpose in a complex world. Her writings are characterized by their intellectual rigor, their moral clarity, and their deep empathy for the suffering of others. She refused to shy away from difficult questions or uncomfortable truths, challenging conventional wisdom and provoking readers to examine their own beliefs and assumptions. Weil's work defies easy categorization. She was a philosopher who embraced mysticism, a social activist steeped in religious thought, and a brilliant mind that found solace in manual labor. Her writings reflect this multifaceted nature, weaving together threads of existentialism, Christianity, Marxism, and ancient Greek philosophy. In a world often dominated by superficiality and sound bites, Simone Weil's work stands as a beacon of intellectual depth and moral seriousness. Her writings remind us that true understanding requires wrestling with complexity, that compassion demands action, and that the search for truth is a lifelong journey. Simone Weil's critique of power structures forms a cornerstone of her philosophical and political thought. She harbored a deep distrust of power in all its forms, viewing it as inherently corrupting and dehumanizing. For Weil, power wasn't merely a tool to be wielded for good or evil. It was a force that distorted relationships, eroded empathy, and ultimately diminished both those who held it and those subject to it. Weil's skepticism towards power stemmed from her first-hand experiences witnessing its corrosive effects. She saw how power dynamics played out in the factories, where managers, driven by profit and efficiency, often treated workers as expendable cogs in a machine. She witnessed the rise of totalitarian regimes in Europe, observing how power, concentrated in the hands of a few, could be used to crush dissent, manipulate information, and commit unspeakable atrocities. But Weil's critique of power went beyond simply condemning its abuses. She was interested in understanding the psychological and spiritual mechanisms by which power operated, how it seduced individuals and institutions into perpetuating systems of domination and control. She argued that power created an illusion of superiority, leading those who possessed it to view themselves as somehow above or separate from those they ruled. This sense of detachment, she believed, blinded individuals to the suffering of others, making it easier to justify injustice and rationalize cruelty. The roots of oppression, force, and bureaucracy. Weil identified two primary mechanisms of power: force and bureaucracy. Force is the use of physical coercion or the threat of violence. It breeds resentment and further cycles of violence. Bureaucracy operates through impersonal rules and hierarchies. It can stifle creativity and individuality. Weil called for systems that prioritize human dignity and flexibility. True justice requires empowering individuals and communities. Compassion, the antidote to power. If power, in Simone Weil's view, was the root of much suffering and injustice, then compassion represented its most potent antidote. She believed that true compassion required more than just pity or charity. It demanded a radical shift in perspective, a willingness to see the world through the eyes of the other, to feel their pain as our own. This kind of radical empathy, Weil argued, had the power to break down the barriers of ego and self-interest that fueled oppression. By recognizing our shared humanity, our common vulnerability and interconnectedness, we could begin to dismantle the hierarchies of power that divided us and build a more just and compassionate world. For Weil, compassion wasn't a passive sentiment, but rather an active force that demanded engagement with the world's suffering. It required us to listen attentively to the voices of the marginalized and oppressed, to bear witness to their pain, and to act in solidarity with their struggles for justice and liberation. This commitment to compassionate action permeated Weil's own life. She didn't just write about the suffering of factory workers, she labored alongside them, experiencing their hardships firsthand. She didn't just theorize about social justice, she risked her life fighting against fascism and oppression. A legacy of disruption. Simone Weil's legacy is one of profound disruption. She challenged conventional wisdom, defied easy categorization, and refused to conform to the expectations of her time. Her writings, imbued with intellectual rigor, moral clarity, and a deep empathy for the suffering of others, continue to provoke, unsettle, and inspire readers decades after her death. Weil's critique of power remains as relevant as ever in a world grappling with rising inequality, political polarization, and the resurgence of authoritarianism. Her insights into the seductive nature of power, its tendency to corrupt even the best intentions, serve as a stark warning against complacency and a call to vigilance in defending human dignity and freedom. But Weil's legacy isn't just one of critique, it's also one of profound hope. She believed in the transformative power of compassion, the possibility of building a more just and humane world through radical empathy, solidarity, and a commitment to action. Her life and work stand as a testament to the power of ideas to challenge the status quo disrupt systems of oppression, and inspire generations to fight for a better future. Simone Weil's life was a relentless pursuit of truth and justice, a burning flame that consumed itself. She pushed herself to the limits, driven by a profound sense of urgency. She immersed herself in the burdens of the oppressed and marginalized. This commitment took a toll on her fragile health. Hardships during the Spanish Civil War and exile in England weakened her body. By her early 30s, she showed signs of severe exhaustion, yet her spirit remained undimmed. She continued to write feverishly, sharing her vision of a just world. Simone Weil refused to eat more than the official rations allocated to those living in occupied France. She saw it as an act of solidarity with her compatriots. Some viewed it as a form of self-destruction, a tragic waste of a brilliant mind. Others saw it as a testament to her unwavering commitment to her principles. Weil died on August 24, 1943, at the age of 34. The circumstances of Simone Weil's death, while tragic, shouldn't overshadow the extraordinary legacy she left behind. Her writings continue to resonate with readers seeking meaning and purpose in a complex world. Her ideas offer a timeless critique of power, a defense of human dignity, and a vision for a more just society. Weil's influence spans philosophy, theology, literature, and social activism. Her writings inspire individuals to confront injustice and pursue truth. Her concept of attention resonates deeply in our age of distraction. True understanding demands active engagement and deep contemplation. Weil's critique of power structures remains relevant in today's world. Her work reminds us that justice requires vigilance in speaking truth to power. Her untimely death transformed her into a symbol of radical empathy and intellectual integrity. Simone Weil's life, though tragically brief, left an indelible mark on 20th century thought. She was a beacon of intellectual integrity, a relentless seeker of truth who refused to shy away from difficult questions or uncomfortable realities. Her work, defying easy categorization, continues to resonate across disciplines, inspiring philosophers, theologians, activists, and artists alike. Weil's legacy isn't confined to the hallowed halls of academia. It's deeply intertwined with the struggles for social justice that continue to shape our world. Her writings on labor, oppression, and the need for radical empathy resonate powerfully in an era marked by economic inequality, political polarization, and the resurgence of authoritarianism. She reminds us that true progress requires more than just technological advancement or economic growth. It demands a fundamental shift in our values, a recognition of our shared humanity, and a commitment to building a world where every individual has the opportunity to flourish. Her insistence on bridging the gap between thought and action continues to challenge us to move beyond intellectual posturing and engage directly with the complexities of the world around us. She calls us to step outside of our comfort zones, to listen attentively to the voices of the marginalized and oppressed, and to use our knowledge and privilege to advocate for a more just and equitable society. Simone Weil's concept of attention is her most enduring contribution. In a world of distractions, she highlights the power of deep focus. For Weil, true attention is a spiritual practice, a way to encounter the world with openness. Her call to attention is both a challenge and an invitation. It's a challenge to resist easy answers and an invitation to cultivate wonder. Weil reminds us that wisdom lies in stillness and compassion, in deep listening. Embracing these qualities, we can build a world where human dignity flourishes,